Okay, welcome back from the break. And in Pahrump, I want to remind everybody that we do have a call-in line. That is 727-8750. And that is a number where you can call in and ask your questions, whatever questions you may have. Then we want to make sure that you get those answered. We're talking about cholesterol and heart disease tonight. We're talking about tying that all in with diet and how what we believed to be, a problem with fat, saturated fat, even though I advise a lot of patients to reduce the fat content of their diet. I've also been advising patients to reduce the carbohydrates in the diet because that seems to be more important than the fat and the fat-related issues. I do believe it's important to eat healthy, and it all starts with better selection in the grocery store, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But remember, watch a movie, Food Incorporated. It really will open your eyes to fast food in the processed food arena, and may help to explain why we see so much obesity and so much heart disease and so many other bad things in our society today, diabetes being probably the biggest issue. And I want to go back to review the last slide before we took a break, and basically that slide talked about the fact that most of the people who if you lower your cholesterol, then you also lower, your body compensates by making more cholesterol. And if you have too much cholesterol, your body shuts down that production. And there's a homeostasis that develops in there. So I believe we do have a caller, and let's see, I believe it's Lori. And Lori, do you have a question tonight?
Hello?
Yes, Lori.
Hello?
Yes, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. My daughter was in a serious car accident some time ago, and she has had several back operations where they removed discs from her back. So they put her on a lot of pain medication, and she's been on it for quite a few years now. And on top of that, now they're saying that because she's put on weight, because she can't do a lot of walking and stuff because of her back being so painful, that she's depressed. So now they're giving her depression medicine along with pain medication, and that worries me. I've read several articles that says they should never give depression medicine with pain medication. Is that so?
So let me understand. You're asking whether or not you shouldn't give antidepressant medications with pain medication?
I'm sorry, I could barely hear you.
What's that?
I said I can barely hear you.
Okay, so is your question whether or not you should give pain medication and antidepressant medications together?
Yeah, we're going to take together, and that worries me.
Well, chronic pain can cause depression, and chronic depression can modify...
Could I listen to your answer on the TV because I can't hear you on the phone?
Okay. So, what I believe what the question is, and our viewer asked, which was, should pain medication and antidepressant medication be given together? And the answer is yes, they often are, because pain sometimes causes, chronic pain can cause depression, and as well as modifying pain. So this brings up a subject for a whole another conversation and a whole another show, but suffice to say, some of the greatest advances in pain management have been altering pain, ascending pain fibers, meaning that the opioids that we give people like Percocet and Percodan and some of the other medications really don't alleviate pain. They make us not care about the pain, and so sometimes when you're in a bad situation, I believe the opioids can sometimes lead to a little bit of depression. Chronic pain can lead to depression, and you can always escalate opioid usage or pain medication, but that's not always the answer. Sometimes giving antidepressants along can modify the pain. This is a back surgery that sounds like things are having difficult with. It's a very complex situation. I would advise them to seek out their provider and talk candidly about their symptoms. Okay, going back to our topic tonight, back on the slide that I want to talk about, which was basically when your cholesterol intake goes down, you're basically tries to make more. And one of the things I wanted to speak about was the fact that low cholesterol, especially in our elderly population, does affect memory, does affect function. Your body needs cholesterol for some of its hormonal processes, some of its function. So when you're at your doctor and you check your cholesterol, make sure it stays above 130. That's kind of a number that I would like to see. I don't like to see it too high. We'll talk about numbers later. But for science to say if it's too low, that's actually almost as bad for you if it was too high. So I have another caller, Donna, who has a question. Donna, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, how can I help you tonight?
I'm wondering how you feel about a stricter diet, the whole food plant-based diet as recommended by Forks Over Knives, the China Study, Dr. Neil Barnard, Dr. Joel Furman, especially in terms of reversing diabetes.
And it's a vegetarian type diet?
Yes, basically it's vegan. No dairy, no eggs, no meats of any kind, no fish.
Well, I know a lot of people who use a vegan diet, if you'll hang up, I'll talk a little bit about that, because I think that I do support any type of diet that helps with weight loss, and a vegan diet is very important. It's one particular diet. I think anytime you're reducing carbohydrate intake and you're reducing certain foods, you can actually, as you do lose weight, you do actually modify diabetes. And if you have not burned out your pancreas to the point where you do not make any more insulin, you can actually revert diabetes with weight loss. And this is going to tie into this whole picture I'm trying to describe, which is as we gain weight, our body has a mechanism to control blood sugar. It makes more insulin to control our blood sugar. Insulin is the culprit. It doesn't drive anything into your muscle cells. Your muscle cells do not need insulin to get sugar from your bloodstream into those cells. If you use your muscles and burn 1 million molecules of sugar, 1 million more will come through. That is not true for your fat cells. Your fat cells rely on insulin and sugar. When you make a lot of insulin, or when you eat a lot of sugar, your insulin levels go up. You actually drive a lot of sugar into your fat stores. Your fat cells can only process so much, and when they get overloaded, they secrete free fatty acids into your bloodstream. Your liver cells are supposed to be storing that meal before your next meal. They get overrun with fat. They have to store fat. At the end of the day, you have not stored glycogen in between your meals. You've stored fat, and you're always hungry. So this is why when you eat a high sugar diet, after it's all over with, the battle is all lost in your intestinal tract and your liver, you're still hungry. And this is where diabetes develops. So yes, you're right. A vegan diet, any type of diet, a low carbohydrate diet, whatever you find out there that can actually cause you to lose weight will actually melt away diabetes. This has been a known fact for years. Okay, I want to go back to another slide. Which is basically what this slide basically talks about is the fact that there are 25% what I call hyper responders. They basically, if you eat a lot of fat and a lot of sugar, they're actually going to elevate their cholesterol. And these are the people that basically do need to modify their diet. But no matter what they do with their diet, the ratios will remain the same. And I have seen this over and over again in my practice, where I have told someone to go on a diet, they go on a diet, their cholesterol goes down, but so does their LDL, so does their HDL. So their ratios remain the same across all cholesterol numbers. And this is a very important factor, and it's something you'll see if you go to a doctor with elevated cholesterol, you go on a diet. Then the bottom line is you'll see that the ratios remain the same, and we'll talk a little bit about those numbers when we come back. This is a slide that I found, and information that I found extremely interesting, which was, again, remember that very little of what we eat in our diet is absorbed into our body. In fact, plant foods have what they call phytosterols, which are steroid-like or cholesterol-like substances, and if our body absorbs that, it actually interferes with the absorption of cholesterol. So there you have this plant-based diet also interfering with some of this small portion of cholesterol absorption. So the more plants you have in your diet, I guess, above the ground, the more green leafy vegetables, assuming you're not on a blood thinner like Coumadin, can be very important in also interfering with cholesterol absorption. So eggs are especially a good source of choline, and choline is a B vitamin, and it plays a very important role in just about everything we do, from neurotransmitter production to detoxification of our healthy cells. And 90% of Americans don't get enough choline, which can lead to a lot of problems: insomnia, fatigue, poor kidney function, and many, many other problems. So remember that old thing, give up the eggs. I'm here to tell you today that's not that big a deal. You can have those eggs, and I encourage people to do. A good source of vitamin D also. We'll be right back from that break, and from the next break, and we'll finish up this show, but don't fear the eggs. They're good for you. I'm Dr. Reiner, Independent Group. I'll be right back after the break. Thank you for tuning in tonight.